This is 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, Dr. Chris's Radio Horror Show on New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day now, and Happy New Year to everybody in 2018. And tonight on the show, in between all of the great music I'm playing, from like Todd and the Book of Pure Evil and Axiom Verge and a lot of really cool stuff I haven't had a chance to play, we're going to talk about the nuttiness and craziness that was Fandom in 2017. And we're not going to go into every single piece of media out there because that's just too long of a show, and they all have their own pieces of media to talk about that. But what we're going to do is take like the 5 or 6 that I think really had the most coverage and talk about what the fuck happened to fans this year. A lot of it was politically motivated, and I don't give a shit. We all know who's fucking president for the next 3 years, okay? We just don't need to go into it. And we don't need to talk about him, and we don't need to talk about how he is connected to it in any way. I don't care. There's enough political shows out there to do that. I don't fucking care, okay? We're going to talk about the fandom and how it relates to properties like Star Wars, Star Trek, Captain America, Marvel, DC, Disney, and little minor things like the Jumanji sequel and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm really concerned about, people. I don't give a shit about like how this is related to this because of like my social setting in life has been upset because of Donald Trump's presidency. That's not what we're talking about.
You said his name.
I know. Well, I am so sick and tired of people being like, I can't mention the president's name. Why? Anyway, on the show with me is Jerome Connor, who I met many. Actually, what's funny enough is that since we're now into 2018, as this is being aired, I met Jerome 10 years ago.
Was it 10 years ago?
2008 at Boston Comic Con. Oh, it was in the basement.
And it was the one-day shows on Sunday. Yes.
And who had just died right before that Comic Con in a famous comic book?
Was that the Captain America death?
Captain
that's
America
right.
had just gotten killed off by Marvel.
That's right.
Now we're on the verge of Captain America possibly being killed off again in the upcoming Avenger movie, but we're not going to speculate about that because that's
another show.
That hasn't happened yet.
That's another show.
That hasn't happened yet. And let's face it, that Avenger trailer comes out, nobody's like blowing up the internet going, what are they doing to my Avenger?
No. Captain America's everybody's got this beard and whatever. Anyway, that's another show.
But the point is, that trailer comes out. Does fandom erupt into anger management problems? No. Most people loved that trailer, and it now became the most downloaded video or watched or whatever.
I gotta be honest with you, Chris. I thought it was kind of a boring trailer.
Oh God,
it was kind of dull.
No,
to me.
It wasn't. He's just saying that to incite controversy.
No,
Who's texting me?
I'm actually thought it was kind of dull, to be honest.
But that trailer comes out, it doesn't like light up the internet like a couple years earlier. Now, since we're into Star Wars being like the biggest freaking movie right now, and it still is.
As of today, it is the #1 box office film of the year. It surpassed Beauty and the Beast. I heard on the radio today.
Yes, and it also made back. It helped Disney. Sorry, let me start over. The Last Jedi, Episode 8. Has now helped Disney make back the $4 billion that they spent on Star Wars. As of this weekend, they have made back all the money that they spent.
That's great because, I'll be honest, I own stock in Disney, so, I have no problem here.
So you're just going to cash that stock in. You should be a millionaire, right?
No, it's not that big yet, but it's getting there.
Okay,
it's getting there.
7th grade science teacher, which I think in 1996 was probably not something you discuss with your students, but I didn't give a shit, and I don't care if somebody discussed this with my son today, talking about like stock and investments and like things that were applications that were put into play back in the 80s that he wish he bought stock in. He said that he wish he had bought stock in rubber because the AIDS epidemic was blowing up and condoms were selling like crazy.
Anyway,
I was like, that's actually kind of smart. Go back in time and buy stock in a rubber company.
Actually, latex.
Excuse the hell out of me.
All right. That's a different show, I think. That's your Doctor Who go back in time in the little blue box.
Oh, gee. Like Doctor Who didn't have fucking controversy this year.
Yeah, speaking of which,
this year they announced that it was a woman playing Doctor Who.
There's one of your big 5.
Which all comes back to Star Wars because what movie was she in connected to somebody from Star Wars? She was in Attack the Block with a Finn actor.
Was she?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they are pretty much, by the way, considered the two primary characters in the movie. She's the primary white character. He is the primary black character. They don't have a relationship. In fact, he mugs her in the beginning of the movie because she's a privileged white woman, just to turn around and find out, oh, wait a minute, she lives in the same building I do. God. So now I have to protect her.
Let's just move on.
But Jodie Whittaker is in the same movie as John Boyega.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's the leader of the gang.
Whatever,
kids,
yeah.
Which is, by the way, Attack the Block is a great movie.
Okay.
But yeah, Doctor Who was surrounded in controversy for 5 minutes. And people are still blowing up about it, but
of course they are.
Bad.
Well, the funny thing about on the Doctor Who thing, and what shut down a lot of the fans was basically all the previous Doctors came out and said, it's about time.
Yeah,
basically. You had Baker, when Tom Baker comes out and says, well, why didn't we do this sooner? Okay.
I remember hearing that, and people were like, oh, well.
Well,
Tom
yeah,
Baker
they're kind of going, there was really not much more we can say about this. Tennant loves it. Smith loves it. I mean, every Doctor, previous incarnation of the Doctor, has come back and said this is a great idea. The problem is and this is where you can look at it, much like some of the problems with Star Wars fandom right now, is it's a female lead. And it's that whole aspect of they can't handle a woman in a female lead.
Unless you're Charlize Theron, because Atomic Blonde was pretty successful.
Well, that's a whole different viewing and aspects of it. That had a whole different vibe, which I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Or Wonder Woman.
Again, the title of the film was Wonder Woman, so
yes.
I mean, granted, she's no Linda Carter, but she still did a really good job.
And I know a lot of people were really hoping for like other things to happen in life that I already previously mentioned to help spearhead this whole female-powered Hollywood thing. Because we had Wonder Woman, we have Atomic Blonde, we have the new Star Wars movie, we have the new Doctor Who is a woman. Granted, her show hasn't started yet, and she's in the last 5 minutes, and I do love the jokes. And yes, I think even some of the people connected to the show thought it was funny. Oh, look at that. The woman becomes the Doctor, and she loses the TARDIS immediately. I guarantee they set that up on purpose.
Well, no, this goes back, just since I'm a Star Trek fan,
yes.
This goes back to further. If you look at...
Star Trek has a female lead.
Well, they've had a couple of female leads.
But we're not talking about we're talking about currently.
Right. But if you go back to one of the
black woman too?
Yes, okay. She is. But if you go back to one of the original, one of the Next Gen films, Marina Sirtis, who played Counselor Troy on Next Generation, made a comment to me and a number of other people when we were talking with her privately that she was ticked off about the movie that had just come out. That I can't remember. I think it was either.
Are we talking about Star Trek movies?
Yes, yes, okay. Star Trek movies. Well, she said, "Look," she says, "they let me drive the ship and we crash it." So, that goes all the way back. So
I mean, I remember that joke coming out like in Wizard magazine, which was like the biggest comic book magazine at the time, promoting everything Image ever did.
You noticed that, did you?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't notice it at first because I was 12 or 13 when that magazine came out. But years later, yes, I did get it. Oh, Wizard, the Image magazine? Yes, I did read that.
The Image propaganda machine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they never mentioned the death of Superman.
Until
he returns. And they're like, wow, we missed that. Anyway. I do remember seeing those jokes about, a woman drives the Enterprise and crashes it. Wraps it around a mountain.
Yeah, so Star Trek does have a new lead, and she's not the captain.
Oh, what is she?
She's the first officer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the same thing on the Orville. The first officer of the Orville is his ex-wife, which I think is the best.
Oh, I love that. I love that line.
Character story arc that they create. That he constantly brings it up. Oh, why don't you just sleep with somebody else?
Yeah, I know.
And I never get tired of that. For anyone who's ever been cheated on, that's something you're constantly going to bring it up, especially if you're at like odds with that person. Now, if you made up and become friends or whatever, it's an asshole thing to do. But that show is a comedy, people.
Well, it's what they call a dramedy.
A dramedy. So when he brings it up, yes, it's like sticking the knife in her back a little bit.
Oh, come on,
more.
that's real life. Come on.
And then of course they bring in.
I know you've been cheated on.
Yes.
I've got an ex-wife.
Yes.
So we don't even have to argue about this.
But it is funny that he brings it up in a very joking manner, and she's like, "Oh, come off it! Would you drop it?" And then they do an episode with that character, which I actually did not like that episode.
Which one? The blue guy?
Yeah.
You know who that blue guy was?
No.
Oh God, now I just blanked on his name. He was on West Wing. Got busted.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
There it goes.
That's who it was. But going back to Star Trek real quick, and then we'll get to the Orville, which didn't have any controversy, shockingly.
Well, actually, it did have a little, but nothing that was worth spending any time on.
And we'll get that in a quick second. Star Trek controversy was not that big of a deal. It was just a matter of like whether or not fans liked or disliked Discovery.
Oh, you don't know this. You're not in the Star Trek fan community like I am.
I watched. What? Okay.
Let me tell you what some of the controversies were.
What was the controversy of Discovery? Is all of Discovery aired yet?
No, there are 8 or 9 more episodes starting, I think, the 9th or the 13th. I'd have to check.
And how many episodes are there going to be?
It's going to be a total of 18, I think is what it was.
Okay, so it's like Runaways. They're actually airing it week by week.
Yes, exactly. And
that's
one of the controversies that the fans are not liking it because it's a streaming service. And quite frankly, they want to binge.
Like Runaways.
Like Stranger Things. Or,
yeah.
Okay, like Netflix.
But I mean,
says.
is Runaways is coming out week by week,
yes,
and not being dumped at
exactly,
once.
Exactly. So let me just go briefly over some of the problems that Star Trek Discovery has that people have some problems with. First is the new look of the Klingons. Not a big fan of those.
Okay.
They really don't have a good vibe for them. Basically, the actors are having a real hard time emoting. You can't see them move because the makeup is so bad and so solid.
These cosmetic changes, though, are they causing the social justice warriors of fandom to rise up and with their pitchforks and torches?
No.
Okay, because that's more like what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand that. But
fandom nitpicking is one thing.
But the social justice warriors have never really gone after Star Trek for a variety of reasons.
And they really shouldn't.
Well, yeah. But the biggest complaint is the not following of canon.
Oh, okay. But man, I mean,
for those who are fans of the show, the Harry Mudd character in the two episodes in the original series, and then they bring Harry Mudd into the new one, and they've completely destroyed his personality, character, and changed his whole timeline. Mm-hmm. And also, it's an incredibly dark show. Okay, Star Trek, and this is me getting on my soapbox. Star Trek, even at its darkest, which was Deep Space Nine, always had a level of hope and a positive outlook. You watch this show and you're ready to slit your wrists. Okay, I mean it's that bad, and quite frankly, the writing is bad. Now here I'm going to give a little bit of a plug for a second here, Chris, because a friend of mine does a webpage called Fan Film Factor, I think is what it is. Either that or it's fanfilmfactor.com. Jonathan Lane is a friend of mine who writes this. Commented his biggest problem with Discovery, and I realized that once he said it, was there's no banter. Mm-hmm. On Discovery, like there is in the Orville or any of the other originals, or like what we're having here.
Yeah.
It's all too serious, too stern, and don't get me started on the lack of lighting and weird camera angles. So that's actually some of the problems. And this is where the fighting goes back and forth in Discovery.
Now, is this all stuff that they can cosmetically fix in
season
2?
In season 2 they can pay their lighting bill and put the cameras on some tripods and get it to stop the camera angles, and maybe actually have some decent writers. But there's a problem when B. Joe Trimble, the woman who saved Star Trek, says that she has a problem with the fact of people doing Star Trek who have no clue as to what Star Trek is.
Now, when does Star Trek Discovery take place?
Supposedly, the official is 10 years before the Kirk and Spock era.
After Enterprise.
Yes, but 10 years before where no man has gone before.
Because I still haven't seen like Paramount or CBS or whoever owns the television rights.
That would be CBS.
Okay. CBS has never come out and said Enterprise is no longer in canon, right?
Enterprise is canon, is what they've said.
They haven't put that statement out yet.
No, they won't. They won't.
I don't want it to be in canon.
No, they won't. They won't.
Okay. I like that once in a while. Years ago, the guys who made the Castlevania games, Konami, they put out a statement saying these 2 games are no longer in canon.
Right.
Where the company who makes this,
this
is like official people.
What they have said is the Star Trek, the animated show from the 1970s, is not canon, even though they use stuff from it to make part of canon.
Okay.
So there's a little confusion there, too.
But really, I mean...
Yeah, all right.
A cartoon is only watched by some serious hardcore Trekkies.
Watched it when it first aired.
But you're a big Star Trek fan.
Well, that's true. That is true.
The guy who's watching the new movies with Steve Trevor... Yeah. Chris Pine, Steve Trevor's grandfather. Captain Kirk's great-great-grandson.
Whatever.
Great-great-grandfather is Steve Trevor.
Right.
One day Warner Brothers will buy everything of Paramount. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because I completely lost my train of thought in my joke.
All right, so we'll just move on to the next. What's the next fandom?
Well, we're saying the stars. Let's just talk about something positive. The Orville has come out. It was a completely different show than people were expecting. People were expecting Family Guy, and they got something better.
Yeah, well, they were expecting.
They got American Dad.
Well, no, what they were expecting.
American Dad is better than Family Guy.
They were expecting Family Guy in space. Is what they were expecting. And what did they get? Well, the first couple of episodes, they got some of the humor.
Yeah.
Okay, but then what happened? They actually started being more like Trek. They started taking on some serious issues, and which is what Trek does when it's good.
And the biggest, most serious thing they probably covered was the Klingon-like species on the show, whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah.
The brown-skinned
yeah.
reptilian people who are all male, have a female born, and they're like, nope, can't be female, must change it to male. And people were like, whoa, what are they doing?
Yeah, it was a really good episode. But there was another
the day
episode
after it airs.
Right.
Nobody blows the fucking internet up complaining that this was horribly done.
Exactly.
In fact, most of the comments I saw were all very positive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, a lot of the show, a lot of discussion on that show has been that it's doing Star Trek better than Star Trek has been doing for the last few years.
And how much you want to bet, like Seth MacFarlane, who's the creator and showrunner in The Star, was probably waiting for the internet after the episode aired, looking on the internet, waiting for
He may have. But here's the thing that what most people are not aware of about the Orville is that the writers and the producers and even the directors all come from Star Trek. Jonathan Frakes from Next Generation directed a number of those episodes
of the Orville.
Yeah,
I saw that.
And Brandon Braga, who produced Star Trek, is also a producer of the Orville.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I did see Frank's name come up, and I'm like, oh, awesome.
Now, if you were to go to IMDb and take a look at the Orville and take a look at their guests on the episode that did not air, but it was supposed to air on the second season, there's a certain bald
of what show?
The Orville.
Mm-hmm. We're still in its first season.
Right, and they're done.
Okay.
They were supposed to go 13 episodes. They decided to move the 13th episode to the beginning of the second season in 9 months.
Yeah.
And rumor mill has it, if you look on IMDb, that a certain bald-headed captain is supposed to guest star in an episode.
Oh, the Picard. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what is even going to happen with the second season now that they're owned by Disney.
As
the
of
Orville is a Disney property now.
Absolutely.
Seth MacFarlane might be the creator, and who knows if he has
I
think he has.
I think Disney's going to leave it alone for right now because
it's like people were saying, well, Disney owns The Simpsons. I'm like, yes, and so does Matt Groening.
Yeah,
Matt Groening did not just
The Simpsons
over to Fox.
And Seth MacFarlane owns the Orville.
Correct. They own the name. They own the characters. Now that means Fox though owns the distribution rights forever, and that means Disney now owns it.
Right, but see, I think what you're going to see right now is. What the whole Disney thing is Disney's not going to touch anything for a few years.
Cool, yeah.
They've got a number of hits on their on that network. But they don't want to touch anything. And the Orville is considered a hit.
But the number one thing they're going to touch before they touch Alien, Predator, Die Hard, Buffy, and the list goes on. I'm not going to go through the list. Look it up online what Fox owns and now Disney owns. The number one thing they're going to touch is their Marvel properties. They want the Fantastic Four to hang out with the Avengers. And do people want to see an Avengers X-Men film.
Well, first off, you got to realize an important factor here is that if you're a Netflix owner, you'll notice that Disney's already pulling all the stuff from Netflix because Disney is starting their own streaming service.
That's been talked about for a while.
No, they've already announced it, and they've already got a release date, is what I read somewhere. I'd have to look and see what it is.
Read somewhere, but I haven't seen any announcement from them.
Well, I'll have to go and look, and you and I will talk about this off air.
I would rather have an actual announcement than
but
the speculation of what they're doing.
But they're pulling all their Disney movies and shows and all that.
They still have a ton of stuff on Netflix.
And it's all getting pulled.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that officially announced from Disney.
You and I are going to have to talk offline.
Okay. I mean, everyone's like, it's going to go to Hulu. And it's like, I've always seen Disney crap on Hulu. No,
it's all good. Disney did announce that they are creating their own streaming service.
I heard that. Yes, I did hear that from Disney. But I have not seen their Disney streaming channel, whatever the fuck
hasn't
it's
launched
called.
yet.
No, it hasn't launched yet. So until they get into, and make their announcement, just like everyone's speculating over, Wave 4. And I'm like... Great. The only thing that's confirmed is we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because the second one made a bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to stop speculating on the next Spider-Man movie and everything. Yes, Spider-Man will get another fucking movie. It's obvious. They have the Venom movie coming out next year. the only film that Disney has ever confirmed was there will be a Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy. That was confirmed back when the second one was gearing up to come out. So it's like, what's that convention they do in August called E234 or something?
E23 or something
Yeah,
like that?
that's Disney's big announcement convention. This last one, they didn't make any big Marvel announcement, probably because they got to finish out the wave that they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and the last movie of this whole wave was what's going to be Captain Marvel, right? In 2019, or the second Avenger movie. The second Avenger movie. Speaking of superheroes, before we get into Star Wars, Disney can put out Avengers Infinity War and Infinity War Part 2 or whatever the hell it's going to be called. It would be funny if it was called The Crusade, and that's a terrible storyline, because they're never going to call it the Infinity Gauntlet. But if they called it the Crusade, that would be interesting. But they have Infinity War coming out in 2018, and they have Infinity War Part 2 coming out in 2019, right?
Yes,
okay.
Because Infinity War Part 2.
Yes. They already have that movie guaranteed to make gonzo's amounts of money.
Well, that movie's already made.
Yes, but Justice League 2... That's never gonna happen.
That's never gonna happen.
No, we're never gonna see Darkseid.
Well, let's be honest here.
The film that destroyed Warner Brothers.
Justice League, for all of its faults. Okay.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
It made money.
It made
money. Let's not kid ourselves.
But it did not make its expected.
No, it didn't make the expectations, but it did make its money back plus some, because it did fairly good worldwide. It just didn't do good here in the States.
Correct.
Okay.
It didn't do Wonder Woman numbers.
No. But let's not kid ourselves. Okay. Are they going to make a Justice League 2? Yes, they are.
Years from now, are they going to?
No, they're probably going to start filming sometime late next year.
Is Zack Snyder back? Is he done with his
I don't know if Zack Snyder is going to be involved in it.
For anyone not aware, Zack Snyder's daughter killed herself. She was 16 years old. Zack and Deborah kept it from everybody, but the pressure of being huge in Hollywood. Deborah, by the way, you need to look up her IMDb. She has a mile list of films that she's involved in. Zack is a director. He doesn't do much else but the director.
But the stress was just too much.
But the stress was too much of the loss of their daughter, so they took a huge break. And they got their new golden boy, Joss Whedon, who's going to be directing a Batgirl movie, supposedly, unless his controversy settles down, to direct the second half of the Justice League movie. And possibly will be directing Justice League 2. But I
will say this. I feel bad for Zack Snyder. That's a really terrible thing that happened.
Yes.
And I can't blame the guy for stepping down. I mean, you have to take care of family first, you know? And I know I speak for you on this one, that we all hope that Snyder's gets basically his
he takes the time off he needs. He takes the time off he needs. We didn't want him as the director of the Justice League, and this was not the way we wanted him to exit.
Exactly.
A lot of people came out saying, "Finally, he's not in the film anymore,"
no,
and that erupted
horrible.
the fan base.
Yeah,
because it was the wrong thing to say.
That was definitely the wrong.
The best thing to say is, "This is not the way we wanted him to leave."
Right.
Which is absolutely accurate.
It's also the fact is that people, when the fandom went nuts, because he's leaving because his daughter committed suicide. Basically, check your pulse, because you're not human. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
really.
I'm gonna admit that, Batman vs Superman was a fucking disaster.
It was,
but again, I was not happy when he was announced to be the director of Justice League, because this is like this goes right up there along with the Michael Bay directing fucking everything in Transformers.
I know.
It's like, step down and give someone else a chance.
But again, it all comes down to the big question: did the movie make money? And Batman vs Superman made money.
Yeah.
The Transformer films, for all the much as we hate the later ones, because the early first couple were good.
The last one did not make money.
I think it actually did worldwide.
Yeah, and we already had Bumblebee halfway through the filming process, so that movie is already coming out next year. The photos are now being released.
That. Yeah,
he's going to be the Volkswagen. Don't ask how continuity is even affected, because I don't care. Whatever, the movie will make money because it'll be a Bumblebee. It'll be the one Transformer out of the entire franchise you actually give a damn about, and it'll be transforming into his original alternate mode, which is a Volkswagen Beetle. Now, how does he go from a Volkswagen Beetle to a muscle car? Maybe at the end of the movie, he'll take another scan of a vehicle, and he'll be that piece of shit cars from the beginning of the first movie. I'm not going to get into Transformers, because the controversy about Transformers There was none. We knew the movie was going to suck. Sure enough, it comes out. It sucks. Everyone complains about how females are portrayed in that movie. Like Mark Wahlberg has a line about, are you a school teacher or a stripper or something? I don't remember.
You want to know what? I didn't even bother with the last Transformers film. Okay.
The point is that there's no controversy surrounding a terrible movie that you know is terrible to begin with.
Well, that's true. The debate is usually how bad is it?
The last night comes out, we don't care because we already knew it going
we already knew it was going to be bad.
We were hoping Justice League was going to be good because Wonder Woman was good.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But Patty Jenkins did not direct Wonder Woman.
I'll tell you this.
Did not direct Justice League.
I'll say this, though, and this is where my friends get upset with me. I thought Ben Affleck was a pretty good Batman. I thought that he did a pretty good job. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be this, icon or whatever, but it was a pretty good take on the character, and I liked it.
And every time somebody keeps posting about Ben Affleck, there's a website I'm going to out right now, and I don't give a shit because it's my fucking show. Comic Book Resources is one of the worst
get me
websites
started on
of
them.
all time about clickbait and click.
It's clickbait.
Clickbait articles like Ben Affleck doesn't want to do Justice League anymore, blah blah blah. When Ben Affleck was at Comic-Con on stage in front of a mic in front of however many people fill Hall H saying, "I'm not giving up Batman, people."
See, what the thing is that
he
people
says that himself.
Here's the thing, okay?
In front of people. I will play Batman for as long as Warner Brothers wants me to.
See, this is the thing. Affleck's a comic book fan.
Yeah,
okay?
he's
a friend with Kevin Smith. Him and Kevin Smith are buds.
And he does that Fat Man on Batman podcast, which I don't think Ben has been on since he's been Batman, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I haven't listened. But
by the way, his his episode 199 had Grant Morrison on.
Nice.
And it was all love or hate how Grant Morrison writes. I don't care. Grant Morrison's fun to listen to.
Oh, he is.
Because he's so Irish.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have to look. But Affleck is a huge comic book fan, okay? He's been given the role of a lifetime.
When Batman vs. Superman came out, and yes, the movie was slandered by the critics, Ben Affleck was already dealing with other problems in his personal life, like cheating on his wife.
I don't know if was he cheating?
Yes.
All right, well, I'm not going to get into that.
Well, no, I just want to point out, the reason why Ben Affleck, sad Fleck, as the memes kept saying, is because the secret got out before the movie came out that he was cheating on his wife, and that probably was not the best marketing Warner Brothers needed.
Yeah.
But then he follows it up, by the way, 6 months later with a fantastic movie, The Accountant.
Oh, well,
which was horribly overlooked by people. And if you go see that
I will say this. Hold on.
If you go see that movie,
I have seen it.
Okay, it's the greatest Batman versus Punisher movie you will ever see.
I will say this
because the Punisher is in the movie played by the guy from The Walking Dead.
Well, I will say this. Look, about that film, I actually liked it better when it didn't have the action sequences.
Oh,
in it.
Yeah, you mean the autism?
Yeah,
parts?
when he was doing the autism stuff, I thought he really showed that he could act then.
Yeah.
I was like, why bother with the whole action stuff? I mean, Affleck was really stretching his chops there. He was really good, well written, and then we decided to blow crap up.
I don't mind that. I mean, I knew that. If you saw the trailer, you
knew
there was
absolutely.
going to be action.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that I think the writer and the director on that film got lazy at the end there. That's why I think they could have done a whole lot more and made it even more interesting without all the explosions and shoot-ups. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
What was the top? Don't go into a huge 10 list. The top 3 things wrong with Justice League, and that excited the fans. Irritated the fans. And don't mention the CGI
the
mustache.
Flash.
That hurt. That upset the fans. I thought fans mostly liked the Flash.
Well, they do. They like the the Warner Brothers Flash.
The CW.
The CW, CW, Warner Brothers, whatever. Yeah. But the point is that
but here's the thing. When you say Warner Brothers, people are going to think of the Justice League movie.
Right, all right. CW.
They'll know that it's the
The
kid
the television Flash.
The Glee Flash.
Right. The Glee Flash.
Which is because he was on Glee.
Yeah, I know.
The gay character.
Yeah. But the point is they wanted him to be the Flash.
I know.
Okay. The costume of that Flash was pretty horrible.
But Jerome, that controversy was 2 years ago.
But it was still being brought up online when the movie came out.
But not in a way that it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Nobody cared about the mustache on Superman. That's only the critics cared about. The fanboys didn't even mention it until the critics brought it up.
I had some problems. His face looked ridiculous.
It doesn't matter. He's a ridiculous Superman.
But he was a fun Superman.
I think the biggest problem most people had with it was there was really no real story there. This was an origin story of the Justice League.
No, you're right. And the thing that, man, does so many people pointing out, why does Marvel movies work and DC doesn't? Well,
story.
Marvel put out two Iron Man films, a Cap film, and a Thor film, not even in the same year as a Justice League movie. An Avengers movie, okay? We got the Avenger movie a year after Cap was in theaters, or Thor, rather, excuse me. Thor came first.
But either way, you had a story.
You had story. But that movie didn't set up anybody we hadn't already introduced to. Don't forget, there was also the Incredible Hulk. But if you don't know who the Hulk is, it's like, are you serious? He's a giant green guy. Hulk smash. There was nobody in that movie that hasn't already been in something else.
Right.
Not one new character. Coulson.
Yeah.
Hawkeye at least got his introduction in Thor.
Yep.
So you kind of got that out of the way. Oh, he shoots arrows. Okay, that's all we need to know. We don't care about anything.
My wife did like.
I know you love Thor.
My wife.
Not Thor.
Hawkeye. My wife did like Aquaman, by the way.
A lot of people loved Aquaman because that was totally Joss Whedon's writing.
Well, she just looked at him and said, "You need to go to the gym," is what she said to me.
That scene reminded me of the scene in. Excuse me. That one scene, which he sits on the magic lasso and is like, "I have problems and I don't know why I do what I do." That was the entire movie of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Almost all the dialogue, I guarantee.
Well, that was the biggest problem with Justice League.
Story was written by someone else. I guarantee Whedon wrote most of the Avenger dialogue as like, the quips back and forth.
Right.
Like,
again, banter.
You talk about my brother. He killed 86 people in 3 days. He's adopted?
Yeah, I mean, look.
Or the thing with Henry Dean Stanton who died this year. You got a problem. You
got some anger management. Yeah. But look, Justice League had a lot of problems, okay? What Justice League wanted to be, which is ironic because this is also similar to what in its creation of the comic back in the 1960s was in reaction to the Avengers. Uh-huh. The Justice League comic book came out because the Avengers was out.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I literally just listened to this interview with Stan Lee.
Hang on a minute.
That he says Justice League's doing great. The editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time says...
I may have misheard that one. Hang on a minute here.
He tells Stan, why don't you create some new characters? He wants to quit. His wife's like, if you're going to quit, why don't you just create characters that you want anyway? And he created the Fantastic Four. And
that was in reaction to the Justice League.
Yes, okay.
All right, that one was definitely...
I was going to say, I knew your facts were just a little reversed.
Well, you know what? It was the 1960s. Here we are, 2018, I'm getting old.
So Avengers. We had no Avengers this year. We had two Avengers. We had Spidey and Iron Man in the same movie, and Thor.
We had Thor and Spider-Man came out. Iron Man did not come out
But Iron Man was.
It was in it, so what? Big deal.
He's like Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Thor came out, no controversy. Everyone pretty much loved it. Universally praised because that director is so great.
Oh yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows was a much beloved horror movie.
Yeah.
And a genre that was been oversaturated by vampires. Somebody came in and did vampires in a great way.
The only controversy about the Avengers comes back to when the first Avengers movie came out. Okay? And that was the head of the Marvel Studios saying that you can't do a woman lead in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And that's why he didn't want to do a Black Widow movie. And now with the success of Wonder Woman, they're rethinking that.
Yeah. So we have, a bunch of good superhero movies. We had movies that made us cry. God, I mean, if you didn't have somewhat of a heartbeat choking moment or even just a, wow, that really hits me in some way at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm not going to
I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen it yet.
That's why I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
So something happens in it that you seriously just like, I think I'm a human being.
So let me just, so your audience, let me just say this reason why I haven't seen this film yet. Okay.
Is this about controversy?
Nope. It's nothing. Well, I don't know. I have a 5-year-old at home.
Then you should totally take her to go see it. You'd be like, look, it's a talking tree. It's a little baby. It's a little baby tree.
First off, Getting babysitting was difficult.
No.
And I'm not
take her.
I'm not taking her. She can't sit still for 5 minutes. Why
I took my son when he was 5 to go see the first How You Train
your son,
Dragon.
your son knows how to sit better than my daughter does.
Okay.
I've met your son.
Okay, all right. We are delayed on seeing The Last Jedi for like a lot of reasons I'm not going to get into, but it's nothing to do with like
I saw it
controversy.
Thursday. I saw it Thursday.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the very end. We'll save that till the very end. Here's a little small bit of fan controversy, which we're just going to go into really quick and come in and out of it, and I'm going to say my piece because I think it's ridiculous. The Jumanji movie trailer comes out earlier this year because the Jumanji movie came out in December, right?
Yeah, it came out in about the middle of December.
Christmas, I thought.
No, about a week or two before.
I think a week before.
Was
I
it
think
a week?
It came out a week after Star Wars.
Yeah, it came out. I thought it came out like a week before Star Wars. I don't know. I'd have to check the numbers.
Came out in December, let's just
yes,
say.
let's say that.
We don't care when it came out. The trailer comes out, or the photos come out of Nebula in a midriff. This is the year of Karen Gillian, by the way, because she's in 2 movies that are making a lot of. By the way, Jumanji, despite all its flaws, is making a ton of money.
Oh, it is.
So.
I got a chance to meet her at the
Rock is in it.
at the last Boston Comic Con. That was it was
Oh,
Fan
yeah,
Expo.
she was here.
I got to meet her, and she was a very nice lady.
So this photo comes out of her in a midriff, and everyone fucking loses their mind. But it's so The Rock. By the way, a friend of mine saw this movie. A woman.
I saw this also.
A woman saw this movie and says The Rock takes his shirt off in the movie. His amazing man pecs are showing. I don't lose my fucking mind over that, but everyone in my gender is losing their mind because someone's showing their midriff. I was like, so what do you have to say about it? She's like, I don't care. And I think there are bigger fucking problems.
They address
January. She's like, if I remember correctly, in January is when that photo came out of her. I think there was a bigger problem about to begin in January for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
and everyone's losing their mind because Karen Gillian is showing her midriff because, oh my God, Hollywood, the way they portray women. Oh my God, what about the Resident Evil and Underworld movies with the women in the skin tight outfits?
What about the new Laura Croft movie?
At least she looks like a
but my
real
point
woman in that movie.
You know what? And they address.
Nobody is, by the way, coming out losing their minds over Laura Croft because she actually looks like a real 20-something-year-old girl.
But here's the thing: they address in the movie why she's dressed the way she is.
Oh, they address that in the trailer. They're
exactly. It's part of a game.
Avatars.
Yeah, exactly.
Avatars.
And that's the whole point of it.
Your character in the game is not supposed to look like a realistic person. Nobody looks like The Rock in real life, first of all.
Even The Rock doesn't look like The Rock.
No, okay. Nobody looks like Hugh Jackman in the first Wolverine movie where he was at his peak perfection.
He doesn't
and manliness.
He doesn't look like he did in Logan either. I mean,
no, but people losing their minds and forgetting what this is about, because I think they revealed the plot too early on that they're in a video game.
They're in a video game. It's right there in the trailer.
Yeah, and I think that was revealed when the photos came out too, because they wanted to let people know how this is connected to the original Jumanji.
And you know what? They addressed that also in the movie, and that was a pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked it. I'll say this much: the movie is without a doubt has its flaws. There's no denying that this is not a perfect film. No. But it is as fun. It's what a friend of mine calls a popcorn film.
Yeah.
Sit down, eat the popcorn, and watch the pretty pictures, and enjoy yourself, and forget about your daily problems. Because this is a fun film.
People were more concerned about her goddamn midriff than the blonde being a stereotypical ditzy teenager.
Let me put it this way: the Karen Gillian, she kicks ass. Okay, and you gotta love how she kicks ass.
Then that's all you should be concerned about.
And she's good at it.
Karen Gillian, I swear to God, I thought it was her, but it might have been another redhead in Hollywood, came out saying what happened to all the roles for gingers in Hollywood, but they don't cite anything in particular, and I cite Spider-Man because Mary Jane is this.
Did they make her blonde?
No, they made her the black singer Zendaya, or she's a rapper or something.
What?
Yeah, okay, here's the problem with Spider-Man, and this is where I got into some trouble because
is this
people
Homecoming?
Like, are you coming out against this because you don't like black people? I'm like, no, fuck you for making that statement. What I'm saying is if you ever read a Spider-Man comic book, any of the time that Mary Jane was in it, this character is not Mary Jane, okay? That wasn't Liz Allen. That was Elizabeth Toombs. She's the daughter of the Vulture, spoiler alert. So that's not Liz Allen. That's Elizabeth Toombs.
You don't have to. It's like with the disaster that was Fantastic Four, okay? You don't have to.
By the way, I would have had a problem if Mary Jane had been blonde because we have a blonde character. Her name's Gwen Stacy.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So this has nothing to do with Zendaya being black. This has to do with the fundamentally absolute ridiculous change to a character that is a certain way. Now, if you're going to say say the reason why she has this like bitchy attitude through the movie and she's all about sass and giving it to the guys because she has a terrible lifestyle at home with the whole plot line involving Mary Jane's father being abusive and such, which is
Didn't they cover that in the original Spider-Man movie?
No, they never covered that in the original Spider-Man movie. Give me a second. One line thrown out there that her father is a jackass, but they never go into Mary Jane's backstory that was established in the issue where she reveals to Peter that she knows he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, right after he gets rid of the black costume, she says, by the way, Peter, I know you're Spider-Man. I've known since you've been Spider-Man, but I just never admit it. She says, okay, so now I'm going to need to tell you about my backstory. And she talks about this entire terrible backstory, and it was actually like a really like, wow, all we knew about Mary Jane was she likes to party and she likes Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, we don't have any character development for Mary Jane. And then Ron Fritz and Tom DeFalco, I think, or was it Roger Stern? Whoever the writer was at the time of the book decided to finally give Mary Jane a backstory that they hadn't have. And a lot of people really liked it because a lot of people could relate to that type of backstory too because of the trauma she comes from.
Well,
if they're going to put that in the new Spider-Man movie to give her the reason why she's kind of this bitchy character, I'd be okay with it, but everything else still doesn't scream Mary Jane.
Well, see, Mary Jane...
It has nothing to do with the fact that she's black.
I don't care if she's black or not, to be honest.
I just wish they created a new character like they did with Ned. But then they said, by the way, that's Ned Leeds. And I'm like, that kid is not going to become the Hobgoblin anytime soon. Are you kidding me?
You know, and here's the thing, okay? You can change the characters a little bit. There's no denying that you can change some of their looks, and most people won't get upset. But you can't change the fundamental core of what the characters are.
And that's what they did with
and that's
most
a problem.
His cast.
And that becomes a problem.
Flash Thompson is this rich. I guess the actor is Indian, maybe, or he's
that's fine.
Eastern.
He can be Indian.
Hold on. But he's also not a jock. He's math jock.
No. Flash Thompson is the stereotypical jock bully that we all faced in high school.
He also doesn't have an obsession with Spider-Man either. Like, he's not, like, fanboying out, oh, my God, it's Spider-Man, I'm your biggest fan, but I fucking hate you, Peter Parker. You know what I mean?
Flash Thompson was written as the bully that we all had to survive from in high school.
The ironic thing is he's the bully who hates Peter but loves Spider-Man.
Yeah, but here's the thing, okay?
That was cool that they wrote that for him.
And let's not kid ourselves here. Math jocks or math team whizzes are not bullies.
No.
They are the guys getting bullied.
And now, do you know what Flash Thompson is?
What?
He's a amputee war veteran. Don't slap your freaking head. Don't do that. Okay, you don't even know what's going on. In a few years ago, I don't remember exactly what date.
Was this
Marvel
in the comics?
Marvel put out a one-shot where Flash, because the timeline of whenever Flash went into the military has always been retconned because comics move differently. Flash went back into the military, and Marvel took a story based on a real war veteran who they asked his permission for. In fact, they have a whole interview with him at the back of the issue. They took his story of... without going into all the details, you remember the scene in Forrest Gump where he rescues everybody, he gets a Congressional Medal of Honor for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so combine Forrest Gump with Lieutenant Dan, and that's basically what happened to this war veteran in real life.
Yeah.
And Marvel went to him, and they took his story and turned it into Flash's story with his permission.
What I mean, all right. First off,
Flash comes back out of the military because unfortunately he has to lose his legs. He gets a Congressional Medal of Honor. A few issues later, the military generals are so happy with his performance, they ask him if he wants to become part of Project Venom because they have captured the Venom symbiote and they turn him into their new Agent Venom. So Flash can be his Captain America, but now he can also be Spider-Man. So he's combining his two favorite heroes into one person. He's a patriot for the United States. He's an agent for the United States government, and he can be like Spider-Man. He has all of Spider-Man's powers now.
Well,
By the way, the symbiote was lobotomized with the one more day, so it doesn't remember Peter Parker as Spider-Man. That affects. They made a big point saying this affects everybody. Unless Peter reveals himself, you're not going to remember he's Spider-Man.
You do remember back in the 80s that they tried this whole, be a superhero agent for the U.S. government. They tried that a number of times.
I know,
right?
but we're talking about Flash.
Right. Okay.
So
it never works, is what I'm trying to tell you.
The current storyline right now is the Venom symbiote was taken away from Flash and given to a couple people. It's called Venom Inc. It's crossing between Venom and Spider-Man. Flash and Eddie Brock are fighting for the control of the symbiote. Flash is now currently anti-Venom, the old symbiote costume that Eddie had for a little while, and Eddie is now Venom again. But they're fighting over who's going to have it. The problem is there was a gangster named Ned something another. Lee Weeks, excuse me, who had the Venom symbiote. It was the one who actually stole it from Flash before he lost it, and kept a piece of it, and has been dissecting it, creating more symbionts, and has given it to basically all of the Z-list villains of Spider-Man, and they've all become Venoms.
You do know that my ex-wife was right about comic books, that they're soap operas for boys written by boys.
Yeah, well, not all of them. I mean,
most of them lately.
Gail Simone and
all right, so look,
Linda Sedgwick.
Let's move on to the next fandom craziness.
Okay,
it's getting late here.
Okay.
We got to start looking at what else.
Yeah. What was the other one that I wanted to point out how ridiculous fandom has gotten besides Star Wars? Let's talk about petitions really quick, because both Star Wars and Justice League have had to have petitions made about them. And I said man, every time I kept seeing this posted about...
Oh, you mean like say the crazy petitions on Suicide Squad and Jokers? I've seen those petitions.
When Justice League and Star Wars The Last Jedi had petitions made saying they want the R-rated or uncut version, they want Zack Snyder's version of Justice League released, and The Last Jedi needs to be pulled out of canon and never actually acknowledged.
You do realize...
I was like, are you... Who is the goddamn idiot who decided to create a petition for this? There are other things going on the planet Earth that you should be petitioning.
Well,
I think Captain America in his Nazi days this past summer also had a petition against him saying, Marvel needs to wipe this out of continuity. I'm like, you people have bigger problems going on with Nazis than whether or not Steve Rogers is wearing the red, white, and blue, which, by the way, he wasn't. It was just so you know, personality.
The whole Star Wars thing with the petition, this is not the first time they've tried this.
No.
They did this when Force Awakens came out. They did the same thing. They tried to do a petition basically saying, get rid of this film, it's not canon, whatever. And it all comes down to what we talked about earlier.
Disney
a female lead.
I thought it also comes down to Disney doesn't care. All they're saying is the dollar signs.
Well, yeah, but that's the way every movie studio is it all comes down to money. That's why it's called show business instead of just show.
Disney is very smart releasing the Star Wars movies around Christmas time. Yes, I know Han Solo is not being released around Christmas time, because you go into the toy aisles, the Star Wars stuff is gone. Okay?
And it's also all over the store too.
Yeah, but it's gone.
Come on, Star Wars is even selling Chevys.
Star Wars, you go into these toy aisles, Star Wars racks are bare. And I've talked to several employees, and even at Toys R Us where they have 2 rows of Star Wars stuff, they're like, sometimes we just can't keep it up there. Yeah. I mean, yes, there is stuff here, but he points, like the manager, I asked him before a couple weeks ago, about this, so I'd have some credibility, and he pointed out the racks to me. He's just like, we just can't keep the stuff on the shelf. Around Christmas time, the last 2
Yeah, but even
the
before
third Christmas I've worked now as a store manager, when Star Wars has come out, it has been unbelievable how much Star Wars.
Look, I'll tell you right now. Okay, even before these last 3 films came out, because we had Force Awakens and Rogue One count also. Back when the prequels came out, okay, I was at a Toys R Us when Phantom Menace came out at midnight. Okay, there was a crowd.
Which one?
Phantom Menace?
No. Which
Toys R Us?
Which Toys R Us?
The one up in Salem.
Okay, I was at the one in Auburn.
Okay,
and in fact, I got in the paper over it.
There were 30 people standing in line for the front door of Toys R Us to go in, and when that door opened, it looked like it was Black Friday. Okay, people were running and shoving and pushing to get to the action figures. Star Wars has always had a good marketing department. That was part of the deal Lucas made with when Star Wars came out in '77, was that he would get the marketing and the toy rights and all that other stuff. That's how Lucas knew he was going to make money off of that versus off of the film.
Now, here's the one thing I don't understand why hasn't erupted into controversy, and maybe this goes back to what I said about Transformers, like we already know, so we don't need to fucking blow the internet up about it, is the amount of adult parody films that have been coming out has made the adult film industry a lot of money. Okay? And it's since the Avengers has come out, the first Avenger movie in 2012. The last 5 years, I spoke to somebody who works in the adult film industry, and she tells me that since the Avengers has come out, it has been like gonzo amount of like the parody films.
Well, the parody film has always been there.
One company in particular has been doing them like really well. Like they went out of the way to make the sets look
right.
Their backdrops might be made of paper, but the costumes or whatever are as authentic as the movies.
All right, so which
is like a big thing for the fans. They want to see Batman and Superman banging Wonder Woman in a movie.
Right. Look. Here's the answer. Here's the answer to your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where the adult film industry comes in, you got to realize that for the longest time, it was held in somebody's mansion, living room, whatever, and it was all done there.
Yeah.
Okay. Or in some really deep, unknown, obscure section of the woods for your outdoor, scenes. Okay. So what happens? Costs for making films went down.
Yes.
Video cameras started costing a decent amount of money. Editing software was dirt cheap. That's why you've got.
You can go into a Best Buy and for $900 buy yourself a Hollywood camera.
That's right.
And I'm talking with that will give you the term I'm looking for, cinematography as good as The Avengers.
Right. And for another couple of $100, I'll get you a decent software suite that can edit said film that you just produced.
Yeah, there are YouTube tutorial videos how to make a lightsaber battle in your own living room.
So now what happens? Okay, so all that money you were spending on cinematography and editing and sound and all that, it's all now dirt cheap.
Yeah.
So now I can spend some money on sets, and now I can spend some money on costuming, and now I can actually, get somebody who can act.
There was a great podcast I listened to that had an interview with the company that actually makes all of the costumes for this one particular porno company. And I don't know the name of it. You can leave it in the comment section below.
But it all comes down to one film.
Yeah, what?
Okay, in the adult industry, it came down to one film that made that transition that was from the cheap knockoffs from whatever to what you're seeing today, and that's Pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates was that
and that
line
goes
of
back
the
to 2003.
Yeah, I think so. But either way, the point is that was the line in the sand.
Yeah.
Where it said, now if you looked at Pirates, they had decent sets, they had decent costuming, they had special effects.
Yep.
Okay, you wouldn't expect that in an adult film, but there was actual special effects in that movie. There was dialogue.
And that movie was so well received.
It made a boatload of money.
That they also made an R-rated rental version with all of the penetration scenes cut out.
Right. So there's what's happened. Okay.
Yeah.
It all comes down to why are these things doing better? It all comes down to money. Okay.
And it's just funny that I was expecting when the Suicide Squad movie came out, the fans, parent fans, the helicopter parents, as I like to call them, which I'm not one of them. Other than a simple don't do it that way, do it this way, Xavier. I don't helicopter my kid, and I hope you don't helicopter your daughter.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, in maybe 10 years when
she's a daughter, dating, I'm a dad. It's gonna be,
What I mean is I was expecting a blowout of moms and dads to see Harley Quinn in a porno or hear about Harley Quinn in a porno and their kids getting either wind of it or stumbling upon it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't. Thankfully.
No, I didn't hear anything about it.
Thank God I didn't see it because they also released a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle porno, and yes, it's as disgusting as you could possibly imagine. And I didn't see that either, and I was kind of surprised. But you have these freaking fans that wake up, and we go to this convention called Aresia, which is as good as Aresia is, and I love Aresia most of the time. There are these fans that go to conventions like Aresia, or the Boston Comic Con, or the Super Mega Fest, so let's just throw them all in there so I'm not just targeting one in particular, that wake up. I'm going to say this the way I'm thinking it. Daddy didn't hug me today. I need to find something online that pisses me off and just shout till I'm heard about why this thing in fandom, movies, comic books, TV, whatever, pisses me off. And cause a ruckus over nothing.
All right. Let's back up a little bit on the ruckus aspect, okay?
Okay.
And now, for those of you who don't know, okay, I'm significantly older than Chris is. Okay.
No.
Okay.
We'll post a lot of pictures in this video on YouTube.
The fact of the matter is if you go back, okay, and I've known a lot of people in what was called First Fandom. Okay. First Fandom is a bunch of guys who, and most of them are no longer with us. The last of the First Fandom just died, David Kyle. They were at the first World Cons back in the 1930s and 40s.
Back up one quick second and just give us 30 seconds explanation of what is First Fandom.
First Fandom, I just said it, is the people that were at the early days of science fiction and media conventions.
Okay,
back in the 1930s and 40s.
I missed that.
Okay, that's okay. All right, so these are the guys go way back.
They were hanging out with Forrest J. Ackerman.
They were hanging out with Robert Heinlein, Asimov, Campbell. They were hanging out with the icons of the science fiction community.
Ackerman, who was the guy who coined the phrase sci-fi.
Right.
Everyone had said science fiction, and he was like,
sci-fi. There's debate on that whether or not it was Hugo.
Yeah, but that could be an entire podcast on itself.
All right, but look. They when I was talking with one of these guys at a convention, okay, he said the ruckus causing that you see online, it's always been there. You just didn't see it because now you're seeing it because of social media. Go back and look at the fanzines and the letters to the editors in those classic magazines. They're all there, the exact same stuff that we see today.
Those two words, which I think is just one word, actually. Is it?
Yeah.
Social media? Is social media
I
one
don't
word
know.
or two words? Okay.
Yeah.
We're not an English podcast, so we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, do not write letters.
Yeah. Social media is the reason why things like, and I'm stepping into the political setting right quickly, but I'm only just going to point the facts out. Things like bullying, transgender rights, gay rights, Black Lives Matter, that's all social media.
Right. But that's not what we're talking about here.
No, but what I'm saying is that's, even in fandom, that stuff comes up.
My first convention that I was at, and I met George Takei at it, was in 1983.
Oh, my.
Yeah. As close as I am to you, I rode the escalator down with him. Okay? But it was in 1983.
One of my best friends said that same thing about, hey, do you know who I was at a convention and I rode the elevator with? But I said to him, one of my best friends absolutely loves you, but I never watched your show. I was like, who? Misha Collins. And I was like, ah!
So my first convention is 1983. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no internet. Okay? There's no email. There's no websites. None of that exists. Guess what?
Did the internet exist in the 80s?
Yeah, it did, but it was inner office, but it wasn't like the bulletin board stuff didn't start till the late 80s.
The World Wide Web.
Yeah, World Wide Web happened in the early 90s. Look,
which nobody says anymore, by the way.
But here's the thing, okay? All of the controversies that you're seeing today, all of the discussions, all of the angst, all of that existed back then also, okay? You just did not see it because of, we didn't have immediate access to each other. There was this thing called letter writing. People wrote letters to each other, letters to the editor, all of that boring stuff. It's all there if you look at it back then.
That was using a chisel and a stone tablet, right? That
was a little earlier.
Old, but I didn't realize you were that old, Jerome.
No, we did smoke signals. We advanced from the chisel.
Signals.
We advanced from the Stone Age to the smoke signal. But look, what I'm telling you is that it was all there. Okay, it was all there back then, and it's now. The only difference is social media makes it more immediate and more and a faster reaction. That's the difference.
Somebody told me that writing, and I had to correct this person. I'm not writing this. I'm actually transcribing it. Somebody else wrote it. Transcribing a LGBT comic book into an audiobook is so politically, me not doing it, but an LGBT comic book, let's just say in general, is more politically motivated than I could possibly imagine. I sent that tweet to the person who wrote the fucking comic book, and he said, what?
Well, anyway.
This is from an American? I was like, yes, it's from an American. He's in a country, they don't worry about this shit.
Yeah, well, again, I'm not worried about this.
Hold on. So I work on this comic book called Sunstone. I work on the audiobook based on the comic book called Sunstone. It's a LGBT, BDSM, lesbian romantic comedy. And it is not surrounded in any controversy I could find on the internet. I couldn't find one blip on the fucking internet about people being like, this book, let's burn down Image comic books over it. Yeah. No, you know what book came out this year that burned down Image comic books for 5 minutes and then people forgot about it? From Howard Chaykin, the one with the transgender black guy in the cover was mutilated.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, it's some comic book where they are like in the Middle East and doing stuff or whatever. Howard Chaykin, you know who that is.
Yeah, I know Howard Chaykin. Okay. I like his art. His art is really impressive.
I like his old art. I'm not a big fan.
Oh, the American flag and the Black Kiss flag in Times Square. Yeah, and I've got a sketch at home that I commissioned from him.
Wait, is that the book that I'm talking about right now?
Black Kiss?
No.
What, Times Square?
No, the book I'm talking about with the transgender mutilated
I have no idea. I haven't seen it.
Okay. Anyway, long story short, that blew up the internet for 5 minutes, literally, and I didn't hear a blip about it after Image Comics was just like, okay, we're sorry.
Well, it's Image Comics. So,
yeah, and also I was like, I had to point out to a lot of people, was anyone reading the book before they decided to just blow up the internet about this one cover? The whole comic book series
come on. There's been
about the Middle East being the bad guys.
Well, look at what they did with what was it, the Power Girl cover? You know, where she goes, no, my eyes are up here.
Oh, yeah, but
that blew up the internet too.
Power Girl's always been portrayed that way.
Right, but my point was,
and a lot of women find her empowering. So
absolutely, she's a great. I love the character, and I love the fact that who's writing it? Who was running it?
Oh, I was gonna say it was Jimmy Palmiotti and his wife Amanda Connor.
Amanda Connor, yeah. Which I find amusing because my cousin's name is Amanda Connor.
I mean, a couple of years ago, Frank Cho was really cool, and honestly, if you ever talk to the guy, he draws that person based on Brandy from Liberty Meadows.
Yeah,
was based on his wife when they met.
Mm-hmm. I've met her.
You look at his wife now, no, you don't see it, but. Look at early pictures of his wife in her heyday.
Listen, I've partied with Frank. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
You got to explain it to people who don't know who Frank Cho is. He draws voluptuous, big butt, powerfully strong, tall women, and they look like porn stars in every one of his books.
Yes, but they also kick butt too.
Yeah. Except for Liberty Meadows, which was a drama. So.
Yeah, but still. look. All right, so. But my
Jerome's
original...
going to go, so we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up because I have to go pick up my child and my wife at a New Year's Eve party. So.
And he's going to go drinking himself.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go online and setting controversy about Star Trek.
No, I'll say controversy about you, though. Okay. But let's get right to the one that you've been holding off on.
Star Trek.
Star Wars. Star Trek. See,
Star Trek.
He does.
The Last Jedi is surrounded in controversy because people don't agree with the way it was written. They don't like Rian Johnson, and I mean... They can't believe he's got a 3-picture deal coming up now where he get to do whatever he wants in Star Wars.
Oh no! He does not get to do whatever he wants. Why do you think they got rid of the director on Young Han?
The point is that his 3-movie deal is not going to be affected by the Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker saga. It's going to be set in another part of Star Wars. That's the only
that
thing.
one. Okay, yeah, that one.
That is the only thing he tweeted about, saying, I get to do it in a part of Star Wars that's not touched.
Yeah,
and
but,
we were all like, whoo!
But if they don't like the dailies, they will fire him. They'll pay him off and get someone else.
We'll see. We don't know anything right now other than, people,
it's a 3-movie deal.
People either hate or love the new Star Wars movie. Why did I like it? Because it was a completely different movie. I left that movie with a sense of holy crap, did that happen? Is there problems with the movie? Yes. There's a whole list of them on the internet.
There's a huge list of problems with
Jerome,
the movie.
what's the 2 biggest problems with the movie that you can name off the top of your head right now?
The villain was weak and whiny.
Which one?
Ben.
There's 3 of them.
Whatever his name now is Ben. Han's son there, the whiny Jedi.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, come on. The man throws a temper tantrum every 5 seconds.
Did you like it when he took his shirt off like The Rock?
I wasn't even caring about that one bit.
People were lost their goddamn minds, and I'm like, didn't Leia just wear a bikini and Return of the? Didn't his mother wear a bikini?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, but she was but that was forced upon her.
Wasn't his uncle in just a diaper in The Empire Strikes Back? I mean,
don't know.
Come on,
Either
people.
Way. But look, that was the first thing I had a problem with him. The character is basically a weak villain. Okay,
the
man's
part.
getting played by non-force wielding people.
For the most part, he has a high moment in the film when him and Rey team up.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah,
away.
It was an interesting scene.
Yeah.
The other problem I have is with oh God, I'm blanking on her name again now. The lead.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, the character she plays.
Ray.
Okay.
Ray, sorry.
Ray. All right. Ray. I have a problem with Ray in the fact that in the last 2 films, this woman is This woman is basically being a Jedi with no training.
Yeah, again, you got to look at the whole Empire Strike Back thing and how long Luke was.
No. I mean, he was there for a lot longer than you think if you look at it. But either way,
he wasn't there for months.
Look, what the point is you look at the character. Okay, my problem with the characters is you're supposed to have strong characters as your leads. These characters were weak.
My biggest problem is the casino part, boring.
Yeah, that was boring and ridiculous.
However, if they had run into Lando Calrissian,
that would have been a different story.
And that was a big secret being kept until you saw the movie,
yeah.
I would have loved that.
And every fanboy would have.
Yes,
but
we didn't get that. We got Benicio del Toro, whoever the fuck he was. Second biggest problem with the movie was Carrie's Jesus moment where she lives. I'm like,
the other problem I had was Fighter Pilot Boy.
You didn't like Poe Dameron?
The man's the character is the biggest idiot I've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, he leads a lot of people to their deaths, but I didn't have as much a problem with that as I did.
and then mutiny and everything
Leia's
else.
Like, are you kidding me? I get she would have gotten some training from Luke, but this is a bit much.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit much.
We're talking like something that most likely the Emperor probably knew, or Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda wouldn't have done. Yeah, I know.
And they were at the top of their thing. I mean, the only reason the Emperor died is because he was surprised his apprentice turned on him.
Yeah. Look, I mean, there were a lot of problems with this film.
The biggest highlight of the movie was the aforementioned Yoda.
Yeah, I'm thinking if that was any good.
That was something I could touch.
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't. Oh, look, he's right here.
I know.
He's right here.
The humor was. I didn't care for the humor.
There's always humor in Star Wars.
Yes, there is, but there's
And
different
it's
types of
usually
humor.
the damn droids.
Yeah, and you notice
And superhero BB-8 was a bit much.
Oh. And you notice there's only one actor now that's been in all 8 films.
Anthony Daniels.
Anthony Daniels.
Okay, that's fine.
Because Kenny
Kenny's
Baker
dead, yeah.
died last year.
Oh, unless you count John Williams having been the scorer of every
Well,
one of these.
yeah, well, that's John
but
Williams.
You're right.
And
He's not.
well,
his
the music.
His
let's be honest. The music is sometimes
his
its own
music
character.
is not in Rogue One. It's an homage to his
Yeah,
music.
that's true.
But he's not the composer. So
That's right.
And also, he didn't compose the Ewok movies.
That's true.
And neither Anthony Daniels was not in
all
the
right,
Ewok
so-
movies. But you're right. You're gonna go. We do appreciate you coming back on the show to talk about fandom craziness, and there's probably darker ways we could have gone with this,
there
but
are
I kept
so
it
many.
on the light side
Yes.
because I didn't want to get into like saying something that would hurt somebody in the morning. If you were offended by this, great, because you're probably one of the fans that wrote one of those stupid fucking petitions that I don't care. If you found it enlightening and have some points that we agree with, great. Leave a comment about why you agree with us. Leave a comment why you don't. But if you're an asshole in the comment section, they'll delete and block you. I don't care. The point of this is that fandom got a little out of hand in 2017, and we can only imagine what it'll get like in 2018, because we're on the cusp of a brand new Avenger movie. We're on the cusp of another
Star Wars film.
movie. The Doctor Who will be starting next year, so who knows what's going to happen with that, and whatever else is coming. I've only listed 3 things.
Well, let me just say this then.
You know,
too.
was it under controversy this year? Horror movies were not under controversy.
No, wait a minute. There were 2 that there were somewhat. Mother and
Yeah, we blew off Mother though.
Yeah, well, what was the other one?
Get Out.
Yeah,
Get
Get Out.
But nobody blew up the internet over Get Out. People mostly liked it.
Oh yeah, they did. They loved it. But there was a little bit of
And
controversy.
It is now the highest grossing R-rated movie
absolutely,
of all
absolutely.
time, beating
But
out
let me
Deadpool.
say this to you about this year's upcoming controversy before we leave.
Okay.
Just for between the 2 of us and
Yeah.
anyone else listening.
And there was
Chris?
a little bit of controversy with Get Out, but not the erupting of the internet.
Right. Chris, I've got the popcorn. You bring the beers, and we'll watch the drama unfold.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because you and I will sit back, and then we'll talk about this at the end of next year.
Look at the burning of the buildings due to fandom blowing up over this stupid thing in this sci-fi movie.
Do you want some more popcorn?
Yeah. Again, if there was any other fandom that we missed, leave in the comment section below. The only reason we didn't touch upon it is because we kind of ran out of time. So don't be upset. No, you didn't talk about this. I don't care. We just ran out of time. Everyone have a happy new year. Subscribe, like, and comment into the box below, or subscribe to the channel. Check out the rest of the videos here, and visit me on Facebook at Radio of Horror. Thank you, everybody, and have a happy new year.
Happy New Year.